this episode. If you watched the previous video, I broke down how to build 50,000 monthly retirement income. Then you already understand one important truth when it comes to retirement income, that retirement is not about luck and it's not about the pension that you rely on. It's about structure. 50,000 gives you stability and it helps you to survive with dignity. But the way you build 100,000 is very different. And that difference determines whether your income survives 10 years into retirement or quietly collapses. So today we are going a deep, we are going to go a level higher and we break down 100,000 per month in retirement income. And we know that 100,000 is not for luxury, it's not for status, it's just for to create a margin of safety. Because as you age, unexpected costs increase, medical costs rise, and flexibility becomes more important than ambition. So by the end of this video, you won't just understand the numbers, you'll understand the structure that keeps this income alive for 10, 20, or 30 years. So I'll do a realistic Kenyan context breakdown of how 100,000 Kenyan shillings in retirement income can be built, achieved, sustained, and protected month after month. Section 1. What 100,000 really means in retirement. So let us set the ground clear from the word go. 100,000 means the following: that you can pay your bills without anxiety, you can handle medical costs without panic, you don't need to be dependent on your children, and you don't need to sell assets too early, income producing assets. And it also means that you have time to make decisions. This is the level of income that gives you options. And in retirement, options are more valuable than ambition. It's important for you to understand that whether you actually experience these options depends entirely on how this income will be structured. And we'll come back to that shortly. So the goal here is not to impress anyone. The goal is to create consistent income over long periods of time during your retirement. So section 2, let's look at the core framework. What framework helps us to build 100K per month? So, and this is the framework that holds the entire video. Framework 1 is connected to framework 2, and one leads to the other, so that no single asset should carry your entire retirement burden on its own. And to be honest, to be fair, this is where most retirement plans fail, and most advice is wrong. Not because people did not save money, but because they relied or they concentrated their risk on one income without realizing that it's actually a risk. Because if one income source fails, for example, you're dependent on one income source. If it fails, then your entire life will also fail, but it should not actually collapse. So for 100K, we will use 4 income pillars, and I've assigned each income pillar a job, not equal weight, but equal importance, so that each income serves you well. And this is the structure. The first pillar, I've got pension and fixed income, 25 to 30,000. So pension, 25 to 30,000. Real estate or hard asset, 30 to 35,000. Business equity, 20 to 25,000. And then market and intellectual assets, 15 to 20,000. If you combine those, I've given margins, I've given range, so that we are try to work with a particular range and not an exact number. So cumulatively, those will give you 100K per month. Now, it's paramount for you to understand the following, that each of these pillars that we have mentioned above behaves very differently under pressure. And understanding that difference is what keeps retirement income both stable and reliable when life changes. Now, I will want us to break each one down one by one. So let's start with pillar one. And pillar one, we have said, is pension and fixed income. This is pillar number one, pension and fixed income. Now, this is the foundation. We at least understand this, that this is the foundation. This pillar exists, it is there, and it does exist to do one job only, and the job is to keep you stable when everything else keeps fluctuating. So for to attain 100,000, this pillar should generate between 25K to 30K per month. So we are saying pillar one is pension and fixed income should generate between 25,000 and 30,000 per month. Let's look at some numbers. A safe withdrawal rate in retirement is around 6 to 7% per year. Therefore, to generate 25,000 per month, I've gone with the minimum, you need around 300,000 per year, 300K per annum. I've gone with 25K, and this cumulatively gives you 300K per year. For you to attain 300K per year, you need a retirement pot of roughly between 4.5 million to 6 million. So for retirement and fixed income, you need a cumulative pot of 4.5 to 6 million that will be consistently be giving you 25,000 per month after retirement. Where can this money come from? This comes from occupational pension, where you're working, personal pension plans, where you contribute personally, long-term bond investments, as well as structured annuities, and this can be either partially or fully. This pillar, the pension and fixed income, is not designed to grow aggressively. It's not designed to give you 80,000 per month on its own. It's designed to give you protection, protect you from poverty, absorb financial shocks, and give you predictable income. Look at this as your financial flow, the very bare minimum that you must have. Now, if the flow is weak, because you're saying that this one is the flow, if the flow is weak, then each of the pillars that we shall talk about, they become stressful and they become very unstable. Everything else will build on this pillar. Now, the next pillar introduces a very different kind of risk, one that many retirees always underestimate. So, pillar number two, real estate and hard assets. Real estate and hard assets. Many people get excited here, and this is where many people also make mistake, because for 100K per month income, real estate should contribute between 30K to 35K. But I know for this month we shall go with the lower one. Not gross rent, but net income. This is after you've paid maintenance, you've paid vacancies. There are no vacancies. You've paid repairs, you've paid management, and you've also paid rental tax if it applies where you are. Most people, what they do is that they overestimate rental income but underestimate retirement fatigue, and that mismatch causes problems later on. Let's break down some numbers when it comes to rent. The realistic net rental currently in Kenya yields around between 7% to 8 or 9%, depending on location and structure. I've said depending on location and structure. So to generate about 360,000 to 420,000 per year, you are looking at a property value in the range of 5 million to around 7 million, fully paid or nearly paid. That property is one that will be able to give you 30,000 to 35,000 per month. And when talking about this, I'm not talking about big houses or many units or prestigious units. I'm talking about simplicity, affordable location, and manageability at old age. A retirement property must be easy for you to maintain when your energies are low. Real estate, therefore, should simplify retirement and not manage it. And this distinction becomes even more important when we talk about business income. And that takes us to pillar number 3, which is business equity. This pillar is misunderstood. This is not a job, it's not another job, because if income stops when you stop working, it's not an asset, it's an employment in disguise. So if just to clarify that, if you must wake up every day, every morning to earn this income, it does not belong in retirement. Business equity business equity income means the following: that profit share, just earning from profit share, silent partnerships, talking about systems that run without you. They're not talking about royalties or commissions. For this pillar, we are targeting 20 to 25,000 per month in passive. Not very, very passive, but in passive. Because I've said it's not active income that you have to wake up every day. Now, returns will vary depending on a number of factors: business type, location, your client. So we will not lock in exact numbers, but what matters is structure. And this pillar exists because a business beats inflation. How? When the rates of inflation are high, when you run a business, you can do what we refer to as, I think, repricing. That's the term I'm looking for. Repricing, where if you're selling something at this price and you realize that inflation is high and you are not getting the value of your money, you can increase the price of whatever your service or whatever your product is to a higher value, so that it's able to compensate for the value of money that you are not getting due to inflation. So that is how business beats inflation. Then it also exists because businesses grow, you can expand, you can serve many clients, you can reach to many people. Then also, businesses diversify risk. But you can only achieve this when you systemize your business, so that you don't have to be waking up each and every day to go and work for you to get that income. This pillar is powerful but dangerous if misunderstood. And that is why we never rely on it alone. If your business depends on your daily presence, then it's not retirement income. It's another job that you've created for yourself. Pillar number 4, the last pillar, is market and intellectual assets. This is a quiet pillar. It's a quiet pillar. It doesn't shout. No one will know that you have it, but it's very powerful. Most people only realize how important this pillar is when it's too late for them to start building it. And the target here is between 15 to 20,000 shillings per month. Where can this money come from? We are talking about dividend paying shares, ETFs, royalties from products that you own, digital products, intellectual property, and long-term content assets like content on YouTube. And when we talk about intellectual property, I want to give you an example. I wrote this book last year. This book, when you buy it, either soft copy or when we send you a copy, it goes for 1,500. Every month, I strive to sell 10. So if this pillar, we are targeting 15 to 20,000, and I only have one product in form of intellectual property, a book, and I'm selling it at, it's giving me, say, 15,000 per month, then you know how easy is it for you to achieve 15 to 20,000 per month from these other assets that I've mentioned: dividends and paying shares, ETFs, royalties, digital products, and long-term content assets. These assets, they normally require time upfront. When I wrote this book, it put in a lot of work upfront. But after that, I don't put in any other work. I don't write it. I only have to sell it. Then again, it requires consistency. You have to be consistent to build this pillar. But little physical energy is required in the old age. This pillar grows silently while others stabilize their income. And most people ignore it, but they regret later when time comes and they don't have stable sources of income. This does not replace other pillars, but what it does is that it cushions them. When I don't get money from my business, this one is able to serve me. When I don't get money, enough money from any other thing, from coaching, this one is able to serve me. Now, let's talk about timelines, age, and time reality. Now that we've understood the structure, the next question is this. Now, what about the timing? And I'll not talk about the exact math, but strategic realities around these income streams. If you are in your 30s, you have time. You have around 30 years. So time is your biggest asset and friend. Small and consistent investments compound. And when we talk about small investments, we're talking about both money, paper and paperless, and also skills. Skills will compound, money will compound, knowledge will compound. Your ability to earn more money will eventually compound. And mistakes are recoverable. If you start in your 40s, discipline matters more. Asset selection becomes critical. Lifestyle inflation must therefore be controlled. If you start in your 50s, therefore, simplicity becomes everything. Risk tolerance must reduce, and income stability will beat growth. So the earlier you start, the lighter the effort. So the moment you hear this video, the moment you hear this message, it hasn't come to you by mistake. Start doing something as it regards to your retirement. What most of you normally do, what most people normally do, they think that retirement is far away. We shall plan when we reach there. You will not. Notice this, that the framework does not change. Only the margin for errors does change. But the framework still remains the same. What are some of the common failure points? Why do people fail at this level? Number one, lifestyle inflation. You don't know that at the time of retirement, the 2 million that you have now will not be able to do what 2 million will be doing at that particular time. That's inflation. Reason number two, too many risky businesses. Reason number three, overcomplicated portfolios. Reason number four, no health consideration. And reason number five, no succession planning. None of these fail immediately. They fail quietly, then all of them once. But this is the truth that you have to understand, that a complex portfolio that collapses at 70 is not wealth. Simplicity is strength in retirement. As I conclude, building 100K in retirement income is not for everyone. It's for people who want control, people who think long term, and people who value freedom over status. Retirement is therefore not about how much money you made in your active years, it's about how long your income can protect your life. For how long can it serve you when you are in retirement? And if this video helped you to think clearly, subscribe and potentially share with someone who will need the information. And just to note that most people don't fail because they don't understand, they fail because they delay. They fail because they think they have time. They fail because they think that they'll plan when that time comes. So, my message to you is this: plan early, build patiently, and protect income, not your ego. And some of the things that you can start building as early as your 20s or 30s is start building skills, because skills will compound. Start building knowledge, start acquiring knowledge in very vital skills that will be able to serve you in the later years. And that's the video for today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.